Excellent. All right, this is the demo for solitaire game of Labyrinth. And since we have some new people here that maybe haven't played the game before, we're going to go ahead and give you just a real quick overview of the game's mechanics here. I want to direct your attention to the upper right-hand corner of the screen. You're going to find there's two tracks here of vital importance to gameplay. You're going to find a troops track up at the top right, and you're going to find a Jihadist Funding track right beneath it. Each track is divided into three segments. The troops track has low intensity, war, and overstretch. Jihadist Funding has tight, moderate, and ample. The positioning of the troops and Jihadist Funding markers on the respective tracks determine how many cards are drawn at the end of each turn for each player. Each of those little segments of each track can contain a maximum of 5 pieces. So 5 troop cubes in each box, 5 cylinders for the Jihadist cells in each box. Whenever you take troop cubes on or off the track, you're going to take them off from left to right and place them back in right to left. The troops marker is going to go into the rightmost box that has fewer than 5 troops. So presently there's 1 troop cube in the low intensity box, so that's where the troop marker is going right now, and that indicates that the US will draw 9 cards at the end of this turn, provided that marker remain there. Jihadist Funding is a little bit different, but still there are some similarities in feel. Jihadist Funding is going to relentlessly go downward. Each turn it's going to drop by 1. And you'll see that at the beginning of the scenario here, which is the let's roll scenario, it's over on the rightmost box. It's topped out at 9. So Jihadist Funding, as long as that funding marker is in the ample bracket, the Jihadists will draw 9 cells. As soon as it goes into the moderate bracket, they'll have an 8-card draw, and so on. An important function of the Jihadist Funding marker is that they can only recruit cells in the same bracket as the funding marker or to the left of it. So if Jihadist Funding were to drop down, say, to 6, 5, or 4, the cells that are in the moderate bracket or tight bracket are available for recruiting, but any cells in the ample bracket would not be able to be recruited via recruit operations. They could still access them via events, but not by recruiting. So positioning of the funding marker, very important. Next thing we need to look at is over on the opposite quadrant of the map. So if you look at the lower left, you'll find that there are 2 tracks here that are also of vital importance. You'll find that there's a GWAT track, U.S. GWAT Relations track. This tracks the posture of the United States and the overall posture or leaning of the world, of the non-Muslim world. Right now, there is only one country that is marked with a posture other than the United States, and that is the country of Israel, which is always hard in the game. So what we're going to do with this GWAT relations track is we are going to track the preponderance of countries that are hard to soft or soft to hard. We're going to look at the majority leaning of the countries and mark them on here. So say there was 2 soft countries and 3 hard, the world marker would still be in the 1 box. If there was 2 soft and 1 hard, then the marker would go over into the 1 soft box, and so forth. The U.S. posture is also marked on here, and as the U.S. player, you really want the world to be in your favor. If the world is ever opposite you, say for example the world was soft and there was 1 more soft than the number of hard countries, the positioning of the world marker would also, if it's in the opposite bracket of the United States, it would also serve as a negative modifier for war of ideas, which is the mechanic whereby the United States will be able to improve governance of Muslim countries. So GWAT relations is actually a very important thing in the game for the U.S. player. Prestige is the other real important thing for the U.S., and there's a prestige track right beneath it. It's divided into 4 segments of prestige: low, medium, high, and very high. Positioning of the prestige marker will determine a potential modifier for war of ideas. And in this game, as the U.S., you want to roll high. The jihadists generally want to roll low. So if the prestige is high, there's a +1 modifier for war of ideas. If it's very high, there's a +2 modifier. Medium, there's no modifier. Low means there's a -1 modifier to war of ideas. So positioning of this track is very important. There are 3 types of countries in the game. The majority of countries are going to be Muslim countries, and they are tinted with a green background. Muslim countries also have 3 boxes across the top signifying the alignment of that country, whether ally, neutral, or adversary. Muslim countries also have a number on the upper left-hand corner signifying the number of resources that country produces. So the more resources, the more valuable that country is in game terms. Upper right-hand corner has a symbol with a crescent and a star. If it's got a green background and a white crescent and star, it's considered Shia mixed country. If it's a white background with green crescent and star, it's considered predominantly Sunni Muslim. And also the governance markers are going to be placed on Muslim countries only, and the governance markers will also double as the alignment marker. So positioning of governance markers is also going to use to determine the alignment. So, for example, Syria is marked right now with poor governance, and it should be fair. My bad for this scenario. So let me change that. It's marked with fair governance, and right now it's got a posture of adversary. So that's what Muslim countries are going to look like. Some Muslim countries also have an oil derrick symbol both on top and within the country. Those are oil-producing countries whose resource value is increased by 1 when an oil price spike event is in play. So those can be worth even more points if there's an oil price spike underway. There are 3 spaces on the map that have a skull and crossbones on them. Russia, which is a non-Muslim country, Central Asia, and Pakistan, which are both Muslim countries. The importance of those countries is that with the skull and bones symbols, those are countries that have the potential to produce weapons of mass destruction for the jihadists. Pakistan will yield it if Pakistan's governance is ever set to Islamist rule. 3 WMD terror markers, like this guy right here, would be placed into the available plot pool for the jihadists. So if Pakistan ever goes Islamist rule, that's very bad for the player. Up on the middle part of the map, center area there of the map, there's 3 more of these WMD markers. These are produced by certain events, namely Loose Nuke, HEU, and Kazakh Strain. Of your cells in Russia and or Central Asia makes the play of those events possible. So that's why those countries are marked with skull and crossbones. The second major type of country in the game is the non-Muslim countries. Non-Muslim countries have a fixed governance. They're all going to be either good or they're going to be fair, and it's fixed and their governance never changes. So that's the easy way you can tell a non-Muslim country from a Muslim country. Non-Muslim countries also have a star on a white background in the upper right-hand corner. They also have a box for posture, and that's where you're going to track the world GWAT relations. So right now, basically all of the non-Muslim countries are unmarked. They don't have any posture right now. Only Israel has a posture, and as I said earlier, that is a fixed posture. It never changes. So those are the non-Muslim countries. If you look at Europe, you'll find that all the European countries have good governance, but it's a slightly different color than other countries with good governance, namely like the UK, Canada, Serbia. The difference there is that all those countries with the darker blue shade are considered to be members of the Schengen region. All of those countries are considered to be adjacent to one another. So you could literally travel from Spain to Eastern Europe and it would be considered to be adjacent to one another. If you want to travel to the Schengen region, you'll see that there's a little symbol. It looks like a European Union symbol, and that symbol signifies the Schengen region. So you could move from Morocco to any country in the Schengen region. So you can move from Morocco to Scandinavia, and it would be considered to be adjacent. So that's the Schengen region. The final type of country in the game is unique. It's Iran, which in game terms is considered to be neither non-Muslim nor Muslim. It's a special case. It's a special instance. It has a fixed no posture. Its Muslim symbol up in the upper right-hand corner is a red star and crescent on a green background to remind you that it's a special case country. So those are all the countries of the game. For the solitaire game, it's handy if you have your charts out. So if you don't, you might want to fish those out because we're going to be referring to the flow chart. First thing we're going to do here is we're going to draw up our cards for both the player and for the jihadists.